Okay, my esteemed viewers out there, welcome to your favorite show by your favorite tutor, the formula. So, in my previous video a while ago, I told you what deadweight loss is and the various factors that can cause deadweight loss. We said that a deadweight loss is a loss of economic efficiency that does not benefit the consumer or the producer, neither the government. So, it is as a result of the free market working system failing in their responsibilities. Now, in my previous video, I told you the various factors that can cause deadweight loss. We said number one factor that can cause deadweight loss is the existence of a monopoly. Now, another factor that can cause deadweight loss is price legislation. Another factor is imposition of tax by the government. Another factor is subsidy. Then the last factor is known as market failure. Now, we are going to take each of these factors in turn and consider their consequences on what now? On consumer and producer surplus. Now, what is a monopoly and how does monopoly causes deadweight loss? Now, if you can remember, a monopoly is the single producer of a commodity which has no close substitute. And you should know that a monopolist maximizes profit at the point where marginal cost is equals to what? Marginal revenue. In economics, if you economize profit or if you maximize profit at the point where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, we say that you are inefficient. Because inefficiency occurs at a point where MC and MRO are equal. Economic efficiency is only attained when price is equal to what? Marginal cost. And the only market that can guarantee this equilibrium is the perfectly competitive market. And that is why we say that it is only in a perfect market that consumer producer surplus is what now maximized. Whenever consumer producer surplus is not maximized, now the result is always what? A deadweight loss. You understand? Now, let us look at how the monopoly can cause a deadweight loss. Now, we are going to look at this graphically now. Let's draw our graph. Please, I am going to be as fast as possible in order to reduce the length of this my video. Now, this is the demand curve. This is the vertical intercept. This is the horizontal intercept of this demand curve. Please take note that another name for demand curve is average revenue. And average revenue is still the same thing as what now? The selling price of the commodity. Now, we are going to draw the marginal revenue function. It may interest my viewers to know that the marginal revenue function is twice slopey than the average revenue function. The slope of MRO is twice the slope of what now? ARO in absolute what terms. Now, this is MRO. Let us superimpose. Let's call here point C. I want to superimpose the marginal cost curve. Let me put the marginal cost curve. Remember that as far as market structure is concerned, the marginal cost of any firm determines the supply of that particular firm. It's used to determine the supply curve of the firm. So the marginal cost is always linear and what now? Upward sloping. Now, as far as perfect market is concerned, equilibrium in a perfect market is reached at the point where price is equal to what now? Marginal cost. And that is the point that guarantees efficiency, which is known as what now? Economic efficiency. Now, let us call this point. This is the equilibrium price, PE, and this is the equilibrium quantity, QE. This particular diagram, please take note that in a competitive market, consumer surplus is the same thing as area of triangle. Let me draw out this triangle. Area of triangle PEA, naught. This is consumer surplus. This is the consumer surplus as far as perfect market is concerned. Now, the resulting producer surplus will be given as this is producer surplus. Let us call here point D. So the producer surplus, as far as a perfectly competitive market is concerned, will now be the area of this triangle. Let us call here D. Let us call here PE. And let us call here E naught. So my viewers can see what I'm doing here. Now, let us assume now that the market is monopolized. If there is a monopoly in the market, remember that a monopolist will always make profit. Monopolists make profit when marginal costs and marginal revenue are what? Equal. Now, it simply means that Look at marginal revenue. Look at marginal cost. They met here, E1. So the new equilibrium will be at this point. From here, trace it upward to the price function. Drop it here. So this is the new price. Let's call this guy P1. And this will be the new quantity that will be demanded and supplied. Let us call here Q1. So it can be seen that because the market has been monopolized, quantity that was supplied reduced from QE to QE to Q, and price increased from PE to what now P1. So with what I have seen now, it is very, very obvious that the monopolists will supply a lower quantity and they will charge a higher price. That is where the economic inefficiency arises. That is where the exploitation comes into the picture. So that is why we conclude economically that the monopolistic quantity is lower than the competitive quantity, and the monopolistic price is higher than the competitive price. And that is where exploitation comes. That is where the loss comes into the picture. Now, with what I have just drawn on the board, it is now obvious that the new consumer surplus will now be this area. Now, look at the new consumer surplus. The new consumer surplus will now be this smaller triangle on top, A, P1. Let us call here W, A, P1, W. You can see that this triangle is smaller than this triangle. So when the market is monopolized, the consumer surplus will reduce. It will even be worse if this monopolist practices price discrimination. It will be worse. And there will be no consumer surplus at all if this monopolist carries out what is known as a first degree or first order price discrimination, because this consumer surplus will be completely wiped out. Now, what will now be the new producer surplus? Ladies and gentlemen, please follow me. The new producer surplus will now be the area under this demand curve, immediately below what now? The new price of the commodity. So if I was to draw the new producer surplus, we are going to have a trapezium. It will be a trapezoidal shape. We are going to have a trapezoidal shape. So producer surplus PS1 will be, we are going to have something like this. We have something like this. Have something like this. We are going to have something like this. We are going to have something like this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we can complete this shape by looking for this part. So let us call here E. Let us call here F. Let's call here F. Now, I will just complete here and call here F. Now, if you are a mathematics student in this house, you will agree with me that the shape I am having now is a trapezium. Remember that a trapezium is a combination of a rectangle and what now? A triangle. Now look at what I'm going to do. So this D, F, this is D, this is D, this is point D, this place is point F, then this particular place is P1, this place is P1, this place is W, please look at what I'm having, this place is W, and this particular place is E1. So it is very, very obvious that the new producer surplus is higher than the original producer surplus. Now, somebody may say, what about this particular point? These two smaller triangles you are seeing now, these triangles is what is known as what now? The deadweight loss. So this is the loss. And this loss is from the consumer surplus. Now you can see that the consumer will lose this part of his original surplus when the price is competitive. Now when P is equals to MC, the competitive price, not the monopolized price. Now the consumer has lost this part of his surplus. Now you will also see that the producer has also lost this part of his surplus. This is another law. So this loss that the consumer has sustained because the market has monopolized, and this even loss that the producer has sustained because the market has been monopolized, if you add the two losses together, it will metamorphose to what is known as what now? A deadweight loss. So our deadweight loss, DWL, is the area of this triangle that you can see now. Let me draw the triangle like this. This triangle you can see now. The area of this triangle is W, here is W. Then this particular place is E1. This place is E1. And this head is what now? E0. So the area of triangle WE1, E0 will define what now? The magnitude of the deadweight loss. Okay, my esteemed viewers, I am going to carry out a detailed calculations of this particular thing you just saw, and I'm also going to extend it to what when tax is imposed. We have two kinds of tax. We have what is called the specific tax, or what is known as the specific tax. But we are going to leave the analysis. The kind of tax imposition we are going to look at is the unit tax. So when a unit tax is imposed on a commodity, now what would be the effect on the maximization of the firm? And when a lump sum tax is imposed, what effect will it bring to the producer? We are going to look at all this mathematically and graphically in my next class. Please follow me on my YouTube channel for more quality videos. Have a nice day.